Hello, and welcome to Connecting Jewish Grandparents, the Grand Plan podcast. I am thrilled that you're here to join me on another installment of looking at Torah truths, our life as grandparents, and making it all more meaningful. I'm excited to share that coming late next week, a very special episode, I am teaming up with Chai Mitzvah, and we are doing an episode on Tu B'Shvat. It will be co-hosted, or I will have a special guest, Nina Fondler Walden from Chai Mitzvah, to talk about Tu B'Shvat, growing with grandchildren, looking at practical ways, fun ways, and meaningful ways to really enhance this upcoming festival. My guest, Nina, literally wrote the book on the topic. She's the author of the JNF Haggadah, Jewish National Fund's Haggadah for Tu B'Shvat, for really making this festival frutikas, the people tend to call it the Jewish Earth Day, more meaningful. So I hope you will join me for that. If you go into the show notes, you can get a free download of that Haggadah and some other really great resources. So you can start digging into it now to make To Be Shvat. Wow, to really get to be intentional in this festival. We're trying to get it out a few weeks before so you can really be ready. And when I talk about getting ready for Tu B'Shvat, I guess that's a good segue to really anything of getting ready versus being where you are. It's what we talk about a lot here. But I just want to take it to an experience that you've had, probably. And by you, it's not even you, the grandparent. I think it's happened to everybody I know, of all ages, of all everything. But I'll make it specific to the grandparents. You get off the phone, you've just spoken to a friend, and it was great to catch up with them. But that friend shared a lot about just how amazing her grandchildren are, how they're excelling, and how that friend is just the best grandparent ever. That bond and that connection that they have with their grandchildren, and just how phenomenal it is. And maybe it didn't happen on the phone. Maybe you're scrolling through Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and you just see the smiles and the milestones and the matching outfits and the vacations together and the endless smiles and family happiness. And whoever you are, wherever you are probably wondering why. Why does their story look so much easier than mine? I'm using the word easier intentionally because it's not necessarily that they're happier. It's not that but it just looks, wow, what a life. And that feeling you have, I don't want to call it jealousy, and I don't want to call it bitterness, because it isn't really that, is it? It's confusion. It's sadness. It's self-doubt. Now, I could speak about that as a standalone topic for a very long time because I think it is so relatable. But you know that I like to bring things to the Torah or bring things from the Torah. And here we are in Parsha Vaera. The plagues are beginning. The Egyptians are struck by the plagues. The Israelites, Bnei Israel, the Jewish people, are not affected. As a child, I learned in the Midrash from Shemot Rabbah that if there was a Israelite and a Jew together and they had the same bottle of water and you pour it into a cup for Bnei Israel, they would be drinking water. And if you poured it into a cup for a Mitzri, for an Egyptian, it would be blood. And that was how strong that distinction was. And when I learned it as a child, kind of struck me as a nanny nanny boo boo, like almost a show off trick to do. Look what we have and you don't. How would it make them feel? And maybe I was just very empathic, but that's obviously not the whole picture. The Israelites are still enslaved. Okay, they are not equal having water together at a party. We have the slaves and the free people. We have those struck by plagues and those not. With many, not all of, these makot, these plagues, the Torah tells us directly it happened there, but not here in Goshen. Midrash tells us that just about all of them were. The Torah starts by telling us in the fourth plague in Arbe, not going to happen in Goshen. Okay, so let's look at this key paradox the Torah is laying out for us in this Torah portion. The Egyptians are suffering terribly physically, but they are free. Bnei Israel, the Israelites, are mostly protected from the plagues, and they are trapped and enslaved. They exist in the same world. They are neighbors, but they are living radically different experiences. Okay? That's our Torah picture. They're living in the same Egyptian capital city. They see each other and they see how very different these realities are. Okay. And today, you're probably not living in Egypt, but wherever you are, you have a grandparent that's posting joy. Pictures of that first birthday party, family bar mitzvah celebration, and another is carrying worry quietly. One family seems so close-knit, and another feels fractured and distant geographically, but more importantly, emotionally. And here is the hardest part. Sometimes the people who look blessed are struggling in ways that we cannot see. And sometimes the people who are protected are still suffering deeply. Visible pain is not the only pain. Visible joy is not the whole story. It's often called the grass is always greener, you know? But we're not talking about grass here. Let's look at how social media goes. Because if you're listening to this podcast, it means you probably saw it somewhere in social media, and it probably means you've spent a few minutes or hours enjoying social media. But remember that social media shows the highlights, not the process. That is one photograph or a handful of photographs of the outcomes, not the efforts. It's showing the joy, not the fear and struggle and pain that it took to get to that moment. Highlights reel is not real. The Torah does not deny suffering. It shows multiple truths at once. You can acknowledge someone else's joy without invalidating your own struggle. We are not the enslaved Israelites, and we are not the Egyptians struggling through plagues. We are people, each with our own struggles and our own joys and our own perspective, our own pekalach, as they say in Yiddish. But Vaera makes it clear that the redemption process begins before the circumstances improve. Let me say that again, because really all of these parshiot of Shemot are leading to redemption. And in your own life, you're obviously working towards a better situation. And you have to know that the process starts before the circumstances get better. And the process is not instantaneous. Your story is still unfolding. Your influence is not always visible. Protection and progress do not always look like happiness. I'm speaking to a grandmother this week who shared with me a beautiful story. Though it didn't seem that way in the beginning. She had this big plan to take her children on, her grandchildren on hikes and make them exciting and meaningful and experiential educational opportunities. She put a lot of effort into planning them, and then they didn't really execute well. And for various reasons, it only happened twice. And she'd planned to do them lots. And the last time she had a successful hike experiential educational experience, I think her granddaughter was 6 or 7. And she kind of mourned that lost opportunity. And that granddaughter just turned 18 and said, Grandma, for my 18th birthday present, can we go on a hike together? Can we do what we did when I was 6? Because it meant so much to me. What if your role right now is not joy, but it's steadiness? It's not celebration, but it's being present. It's not the 18th birthday right now. It's the struggle with getting the 6-year-olds to do what you want. I said this affects everybody. And so my my advice that I'm going to tell you is just as true for me as it is for you, and just as true for all of your loved ones. Okay? If you are in that social media, looking at other people's world, again, the phone calls, the chats with a friend, or the pictures, ask yourself, what part of my story am I measuring against someone else's highlight reel? You have to reframe it that way. The highlight reel is not real. What in your own life are you measuring against it? And then reframe that. That is what I'm encouraging you to do this week. It is what I'm encouraging me to do this week because we have to remember we are not, you are not, I am not, we are not behind, and I am not, you are not, we are not failing. None of us are alone in this moment, whether it's the plagues or the slavery or the special needs grandchildren or the distance, or the finances, or the connection, or the disconnection. They're details, and they're not insurmountable. It's not the only thing in the path. And if you were to create your own highlights reel, there would be beautiful things. If you want help untangling comparisons and expectations and your real role as a grandparent, both real and highlights reel. I enjoy walking that journey with people. I would love to coach you. I'm enjoying the people that I am coaching, and I would love to be going on that journey with you as well. This week and always, may you see your own story with compassion, patience, and truth. Your life is hard. It has been hard and it will be hard. And yet, there is so much good and joy to uncover along the way. And to wrap out this episode, as I always do, please hop into the show notes. You can follow me, Sharona Hassan, on social media, grandplan.kit.com, my website, and stay tuned for this upcoming episode on Tu B'Shvat, which will also lead to a hopefully monthly learning group of growing grandparents. So check that out. Again, you can follow me, Sharona Hassan, social media, grandplan.kit.com, and our upcoming episode. Keeping it real, not in a highlights reel.